Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections. I'm your host, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce, Chad Amond. I am delighted to have on the show today Veronica Condron and Tiffany Engle from Lifespan Family Services. Lifespan Family Services are serving the community as a foster care and adoption agency. Recently opened up in New Stanton. Veronica, Give our listeners a little bit of your background and how you came to Lifespan Family Services, and what is your passion about foster care and adoption.
Well, thank you, and thanks for having us on here today. I just want to say children in general have always been my passion in life, to make sure they grow up to be good adults, responsible adults. I actually spent 27 years in corporate America.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of compassion sometimes. And I had a chance to leave the corporation I had been on for a long time. And a former coworker had established Lifespan Family Services up in Punxsutawney.
Okay.
And
so Lifespan Family Services started in Punxsutawney.
Yeah, 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
and people are not happy with Punxsutawney right now. Punxsutawney Phil. I mean, whenever you talk to that colleague, tell them, hey, we're waiting for spring still, right?
We're going to go up in a couple of days and maybe pay Punxsutawney Phil a visit there.
Right.
But my former coworker he actually was a foster parent for years, and he realized the rural areas and suburban areas were underserved by good families, or agencies serving the families, I should say. So when he heard I was leaving corporate America, he decided to ask me to open up the new office down here in New Stanton, but we're a very well-established agency in the foster care world.
Okay. And Tiffany, let's get a little bit of your background. You are the program co-coordinator, and what is your passion with coming into Lifespan Family Services, and what do you do for the organization?
Well, kind of like what Veronica said, my passion is with families and working with families and social services and helping families to get the connections that they need in the community to make their lives better. But I just came on board probably it's not even been a month. But so I'm really excited to work for the organization. My job prior to this, I worked on the other side. I kind of worked with biological families and some of the issues that they were facing. So this is on the opposite side, where you're working with the foster families and trying to help them get the services they need for their foster children.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess one of the reasons why it makes so much sense to have you ladies on the show is that May is National Foster Care Month. So, Veronica, let's talk a little bit about that. That May is National Foster Care Month, and what does that mean?
The Children's Bureau within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, they fund the National Foster Care Month initiative, and it's actually through a partnership with an organization called Child Welfare Information Gateway. And what they want to do, and our mission that we're part of, foster care in general, is we want to bring light to the community, that we need foster care homes, good quality families. They want to bring light to the people that work with the children, the actual children themselves, the families, just everything about foster care.
Yeah, let's step back a second and make sure the listeners understand what is foster care. I mean, I think sometimes maybe you hear that word and you know that it's a good thing, but what exactly is foster care, and what does it mean to our community?
I'm glad you asked, because we're so caught up in this all that you just instantly think everyone knows. So thank you for asking. Actually, foster children and young adults, they can be actually in foster care from birth through age 21.
Okay.
Children enter into foster care for a variety of reasons. Abuse and neglect, sometimes homelessness, and actually, incarceration of their parents.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately. Sometimes parents pass away and don't have like close family members nearby, or maybe their family members or grandmas and grandpas just physically can't take care of the children.
Right.
So then that's where they go through like the Children's Bureau in the local counties, and the counties reach out to the private agencies like ourselves that we help out in overseeing the care of the children and placing them into good homes. So there's a lot of paperwork, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
and that's where we, being a private agency, we can do quick hiring if needed. We can move people around. Like, for example, we have 3 offices. So let's say we have a large influx of children in a certain area. We do have staff available to actually come at any time to help out maybe an office that, has an influx of children in our care.
So again, it makes sense that we are having you on for May, it being National Foster Care Month. That is the 35,000-foot level. But let's get a little bit deeper into the history, your office locations. You mentioned that you have 3 offices.
Three offices now.
So
for sure.
let's talk a little bit more about the details of Lifespan Family Services and the offices and the locations and the areas that you serve.
We had mentioned about Punxsutawney. That's where our founder, Patrick Shea,
Right.
actually set up the agency back in 2010. And he went from just a 3-person office to now we have over 25 employees.
Oh, wow.
Throughout the organization. We are a nonprofit, so there's a lot that he does for the community and works with the community in other areas. He's a licensed psychologist, and he saw a need. I think I mentioned this before, that he just realized the rural areas of Pennsylvania, that there was children that maybe, for example, through Jefferson County, that were being placed in Allegheny County, hours and hours away. So he decided to start the agency because he had been a foster parent already, and he knew the system and realized there was this really big need. So he actually created location in Punxsutawney and then Du Bois, and then it's just grown. He's very well respected in the foster care world, and I'm real happy to work for him that he's very with it, as far as.
So Lifespan Family Services, one of the primary, can I say that one of the primary focuses is on rural communities?
Yes, and then suburban, and because with the fact that he's the agent's very, very well established, and word of mouth. Someone's in a foster family, and then their cousin who lives, out in Scottdale wants to be a foster parent too. Right. So then they approached us, or we interacted with them and went through the process. And now we actually have a big presence here in Western PA, and it's growing each day. Actually, we're real proud of it that we're now actually even supporting children throughout this region as well.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We're talking with Veronica Condron, Foster Care Program Manager for Lifespan Family Services, and Tiffany Engle, who is the Foster Care Program Co-Coordinator. When we talk about foster families, who can be a foster parent? I would imagine that person has to have both the heart and mind to be that to serve our community and the children. So who can be a foster parent?
That's a good question, and it's ironic that you use the word heart, because foster parents are really the heart of foster care. And they do an amazing job, an important job, by opening their homes to care for the children. As far as who can be, pretty much anyone over the age of 21 can be single, married, divorced, or in a partnership. They can have children themselves or no children in the household. They can rent or own their residence. There's a common misconception about like the income levels and everything. You can actually even have a modest income,
Right.
And be a foster parent as well. You don't have to stay home 24 hours a day with a child when they're in your care. You can be a working parent. We have some families that's how America is anymore, and we have foster families that they both are working parents and thrive. The kids thrive in their care. Even we have some households where one or two of the family members have even a disability in the household too. So there's a lot of misconception that you have to be, a two-parent household and, one parent stay home.
Right.
But
it's not the Leave It to Beaver family.
It's
right?
like we're not in the Leave It to Beaver society anymore. So that's exactly where our, I would say foster parents are people from all walks of life with various life experiences.
Well, when that's one end of the spectrum, but let's talk about who are the foster children. I mean, we touched on that a little bit earlier, but who are the foster children? I mean, sometimes I would imagine that people think, oh, I'm going to take on a newborn baby, but the reality of it is probably that there oftentimes are older children that maybe are not being welcomed as much for the foster children.
You're right. And there is a very significant need for homes for teenagers. And then, the mentality sometimes of just society in general is there's no hope for them. I don't want to bring a troubled teenager into my home. But that's actually the opposite of what we see so much. A teenager, they have the mental capacity to realize that they're being cared for the first time in their lives. Tiffany knows and has seen this, that, the teenagers thrive a lot of times, that they actually become a very significant part of the household.
Right.
And then I have actually a family in Dauphin County that they only want teenagers. So we love that. And she wants to stay in touch with them after they leave the foster care world. That's her main goal.
Oh, right.
Is she wants to give them a big foundation to build themselves on as adults. And then, when they're 20 years old, maybe tempted to maybe go one way or another in society, she wants to be a place that they can come back to and talk to her and say, what would you do type thing.
So a foster parent can stay connected with the children, the foster child, through their life.
They can, and there's a lot of scenarios with that, as you can imagine. Depending, what the actual situation, why they're placed in the homes.
Right.
But a lot with the teenagers, because the teenagers have a lot of free will, and they know that they were at a certain household for a year or two, and they can come back and talk or whatever the case may be. So, especially the teenagers, we find that there's a lot of hope for them.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. When we get back, we're going to talk about a lot of the testimonials from the experience of foster parents, and we will talk about also the shoe drive in May and June that is going to help Lifespan Family Services. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, president of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. We are delighted to bring back Veronica Condron. She is the foster care program manager for Lifespan Family Services, and Tiffany Engle. She is the foster care program co-coordinator for Lifespan Family Services. Before we went to break, we were talking about what it means to be a foster child and what it takes to be a foster parent. When we went to break, we were talking about the chaos with kids. You each have 2 children. I have 4 children. We were saying that, as you get past the schooling part, you probably wish that you would have that back, and that's why grandparents engage with the kids so much. So, Veronica, do you have many grandparents that say they want to have the foster child?
We do. And it's actually kind of what we were speaking to on break. Like you said, they're yearning for, time gone by, and, it's something that they feel they're in good health, that they can do things with the children. They have actually more time than a lot of us that are, if you want to say, when our kids are in school and going to a lot of different activities. In fact, we find, not necessarily the grandparent age, but maybe someone, going into their 50s, that their kids have left the house already, possibly, or they're, starting out on their own, and they want to open their arms in their home to some children and make a difference. So, in fact, we have one lady that she has had 20 kids in her care.
No kidding.
20. And we're talking, she's very effective with what she does.
I mean, how many would she have at one given time?
Legally,
several?
you can have up to 6 at one time.
Okay.
But she is one of our households that has sibling care, we call it. So she has room for maybe 2 or 3. That's a need as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll get a phone call saying we need to place 2 or 3 kids from one family together. We don't want to separate them, of course. So that's where someone like this parent that I'm speaking about, foster parent, steps in. And I was actually talking to her one day that we were saying, like, how do you deal with the whole, I'm sorry.
I mean, it has to be sad sometimes, right?
I mean, like emotional talking
yeah,
about it,
right,
I'm
right,
sorry.
Right.
But we asked her, how you, handle them coming and going out of your life. And she said, a child's need for your love and care is infinitely greater than your loss.
Wow.
That's so profound, in my opinion.
Wow. So, I mean, we're all getting water under our eyes. So, but let's talk a little bit more about the support from the agency. I mean, how is the support incorporated into the foster care?
Definitely. My peers and myself are available to help families through the process of becoming a foster family, because there's a lot of paperwork and trainings that are done. We actually schedule 3 different visits prior to the family becoming what we call a certified household. And then that would be with our agency. So that might not be the same with other agencies, but we actually pride ourselves that, we want to make sure it's a good quality home. The first visit is an overview and kind of like an initial home inspection, nothing too drastic with that first visit. Then a longer visit comes with focusing on training the parents, and then a final home inspection would be like the third visit. And then as far as support, once the child is in the care of the family, they will actually have a foster care coordinator like Tiffany that will be able to visit at least once a month and even support remotely, or if needed, another visit to the home as needed. And that's to ensure the best experience possible. We also have several people on call 24 hours a day. So we are always available.
Well, Lifespan Family Services is a not-for-profit organization, right. So you have to raise funds.
Yes.
And I would imagine that there are grant funding and state funding and things like that. But Tiffany, talk a little bit about some of the fundraising. And I understand that you are having a shoe drive in May and June. And there's also a program that's going to be hosted out at Keystone State Park.
Right, that's correct. The shoe drive is going to kick off on May 1st, and it will run through July 7th approximately, and I can give you a little bit more details about that. It's pretty much, we're looking for donations of gently worn, used and new shoes. We're looking to get about 2,500 pairs of shoes. Is that right, Veronica?
Or more.
Yeah. So,
Right.
So we're trying. We're going to try to get as many as possible.
With 3 daughters at home, I probably can provide that right.
Exactly.
Just come to my house.
That's right. So what we're going to do in that time frame, we're going to distribute collection receptacles to different locations throughout our community. Right now, as of today, we've been confirmed to have one at Hempfield Park Recreation Building. But look for us at locations like Giant Eagle, Walmart, and just several other locations throughout the community. So we're looking forward to that. So any shoes that anybody has out there, please feel free to donate to us.
And they're adult shoes or kids' shoes, doesn't matter.
Everything except for rollerblades we will accept.
Okay.
So that's the only thing we won't take.
Right.
But once we collect them, then we're going to distribute them to this other organization who will then in turn distribute the shoes to people in need in other locations of the world. So we are looking forward to that. And as well as we're going to be doing other community events throughout the summer and into the fall. So we plan on getting our presence out there in the community so everybody in the area knows about us and hopefully will sign up to be foster parent maybe.
So if somebody's saying, "Oh my gosh, this is perfect. I have all of these slightly worn shoes that I would love to get to donate," how do they connect with you?
Well, that's why we're going to have the drop-off receptacles. Like I mentioned, we're trying to have one at the Walmart in Greensburg and Latrobe, as well as a couple different grocery stores. But we're going to have one at our office as well.
Okay.
Our office is located in New Stanton, and you can call our office at any time. I can give you the number.
Yeah, sure.
It's 724-498-4961, and we will have a receptacle at that location 24/7 throughout the drive. But yeah, so we're pretty excited about it.
So does that connect with the program at Keystone State Park, or is that a separate program?
That was just something else, which we did that today. That was from 10 to 3 out at Keystone. It was the family day. So that was just an event that we wanted to, get out into the community so people could learn more about our organization.
Right.
Since it's a family event, it's perfect. So as I had mentioned previously, we will be trying to get to other family events throughout the summer and fall as well in our community.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We're talking with the 2 ladies that are leaders from Lifespan Family Services, Veronica Condron and Tiffany Engle. Veronica is the foster care program manager, and Tiffany is the foster care program coordinator. And if you are interested in learning more about them, you can jump on their website. It is lifespanfamilyservices.com. That's lifespanfamilyservices.com. Or give them a call at 724-498-4961. I want to learn a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more in depth, Veronica, with the detailed information about application and training and the fostering. Give the listeners an idea of what is the process that they have to go through.
Sure, thank you. Basically, if started the process by giving us a call or one of those events that Tiffany mentioned this summer, just stop by and say, hey, I'm interested. Doesn't mean you have to be committed to being a foster parent at that very moment. But Lifespan actually makes the process of becoming a foster parent as easy as possible. The first step is that we gather some basic general information, names, just date of birth, things of that nature. Okay. Our staff will actually complete some preliminary background checks from public information sources, assuming that there are no crimes in the applicant's past that would actually preclude them from being an approved foster parent.
Right.
They're moved on to the next stage, and that is actually where one of our coordinators comes to meet you in your home. Most likely, if it's here in Western PA, it would be myself, depending on your schedule. It doesn't have to be a typical during 9 to 5 work day. We come in. I was at someone's home on Sunday, helping them, with deciding if they, would be a good fit. So that's along the lines what I was just mentioning, that we answer all questions you have, discuss the approval process in a lot greater detail. And then preliminary home inspection is completed at that time as well. I think I mentioned that before. Nothing to stress about.
What is that
we
home
don't
inspection?
look if the dishes are clean in the sink. Like, we don't look at like the typical living day-to-day things. It's the safety going up the steps. Are there steps going into the home that the children would not, a child would not fall?
Okay.
So we're looking at a high level.
And is that regulated by the state or the federal government?
There's the state regulations.
All right.
So there's things that we do as an agency that we feel would be a better. We make recommendations as well that aren't necessarily part of the state regulations. But if there is a safety concern in the household, maybe a very large cabinet that seems wobbly or something, we'd make general recommendations for the safety of our children. And then that's part of why it is actually up to the families to decide how fast or slow the whole process goes.
Yeah.
So they want to move to the next step would be after the initial visit, we get approval to do further background checks. They're completed, child abuse clearances, Pennsylvania state criminal background checks, and FBI background checks. So there's a lot of checking to make sure the kids will be safe when they go into the different families' homes. And references are checked. Foster parents are actually required to have a physical examination that confirms that the parents are free from communicable diseases and in overall general good health.
All right.
So we do everything we can, make sure there's going to be a safe home for the children.
Yeah.
Then we do another visit would be training. Becomes a very big part of the foster process.
And what are some of the key points on the training process?
Well, foster parents are actual mandated reporters. Like, if they see child abuse happening, they are required to report it. So that's a big part of the training. Like, what does abuse look like and things of that nature. They actually have a first aid and CPR training class, fire safety, medication management, parenting skills, and child development, as well as attachment trainings are also completed. So those last three are vital in making sure it's a smooth process when the kids do come into their care. So
Very
that's
good.
during the second visit is where we really focus on a lot of those trainings.
Well, I think the listeners appreciate that overview, because I don't know that there are many people that understand that the process that you have to go through to become a foster parent. So we're getting ready to wrap up. Are there any last notes that you would want to make sure that you would want to identify to the listeners? You are listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We have been talking with Lifespan Family Services. Ladies, is there anything that you want to wrap up with the show?
Well, I would say gather up any extra shoes you have. Give us a call. If we will actually even come meet you to pick up the shoes, as well as visit us. We have a local Facebook page, Lifespan. That's one word. Family Services, New Stanton.
Okay.
Just give us a call. Tiffany mentioned the number earlier, 724-498-4961. Even if someone wants to help out with the shoe drive, maybe gathering shoes from their friends and family, and then we'll come pick them up or meet us.
Yeah.
We're here in the community. We're a part of this community to be able to help get good families so we can place the foster children.
Well, ladies, thanks for all that you do with the community and for Lifespan Family Services. Veronica Condron and Tiffany Engle, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
If you want to join or jump on to the website, it's lifespanfamilyservices.com, or just give them a buzz at 724-498-4961. 724-4961. That's 724-498-4961. Thank you very much for being on the show, Lifespan Family Services. You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.